Alright, so shalom, shalom. Alright, so first and foremost, I'll start off by saying Barakathon, Yahbashin Yahushua. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole feed elect, starting with the 104 per thousand. Shalom. Alright, so Lord willing, right? Want to go into this, you know, as you see these last days, man, we at a point, where, you can't really have your mind set on hanging on to things, you know what I'm saying? I was watching the elder lesson, and he was going into the suffering and the hardship that, have to face. And, go to the suffering and hardship we're going to have to face and understand the fact of, that, we can't, we can't shy from it, because the suffering is only going to last for, the suffering is only going to last for, a short time, man. We also know, by the fact, let's read this real fast. 1 Corinthians 13, we also know this as well, right? 1 Corinthians 13 and, looks like it might be 10 or 13. Concept. 1 Corinthians 10:13, right? It says, they have no temptation taking you, but such as is common to man. But Yahweh is faithful. So Yahweh is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able. But will with temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. Right? So anything we face, anything we go through, Yahweh is going to make a way for us to overcome it, for us to get through it. Ain't no temptation you're going to face that ain't known to, it ain't coming to man. Because every temptation, everything we face, Yahweh created for us to go through. He knew we was face these things. What can the clay say to the potter, the one who made it, man? What is that precept in Romans where it said, they asked like, why has he made me this? Because everybody doing what Yahweh knew what they would do, what he set them to do, right? And and if you call it this ministry, right, you got to understand that what? Sirach 2:1. My son, thou come serve the Lord. Yahweh prepare thy soul for temptation, man. So when you come serve this ministry, going through hardship and pain, temptation, that's part of it, But sorry, excuse me, very fast, fix it. But the point I want to go into today was with Job, right? Not Job, slacking. Lot, man. Job is also a good one to go into as well. But I'm going to Lot, man. Remember Lot's wife, because Jake don't really actually. I'll read this real fast. I'm reading this real fast. Just a few quick precept. Acts 14:22. It says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, that we must through much tribulation enter to the kingdom of Yahweh, right? But I want to go into with Lot, because Lot had a lot, man. Lot had a lot, but Lot had a lot of things though, and Yahweh Shah told him to get up and go. He got up and left. He got up and went. In the days, Romans 15, right? Things are written 4 times for our learning, right? Understanding that it's gonna come a time to where whatever things you're caught up in, whether it's a job, whether it's a house, you're gonna have to lose those things for this truth, right? You're gonna have to lose those things for this for this ministry, right? But you gotta understand that how Bashiyan is gonna make a way. And I say that because we ultimately know, right? I just read it, right? I know from the elders on down, the elders, Elder Pastor on down through the teachers, as through the spirit probably how Bashiyan was a GMS with 100% truth, right? We know that, we always speak of the MOTB, the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, the Karagma, how they gonna try to implant that chip in you, and it's easy to talk about it now. Like Elder Pastor, he had mentioned one count they was doing, how the MOTB gonna be the ultimate test, man. It's gonna be the ultimate test for it's gonna be the ultimate test for the men that claim that the men that claim you have this truth, or the men of Yahweh. They're gonna be the ultimate test for the elect, for the chosen. Gonna be the ultimate test for the nation, for everybody, man. Because when you read it, Revelation 13 and 16, right, it says, he causes all, both small and great, right, rich and poor, right, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the number of the beast, or the number of his name, right? So you got to understand, you ain't going to be able to do nothing within this world. You ain't going to be able to do nothing if you don't got that chip, right? You ain't going to be able to do nothing when you got that chip, right? So when you go to Genesis, right, chapter 19, you go to Genesis 19, right? You go to the account with let's see. I'm gonna read a little bit of it, then I'm gonna jump down, right? So I started verse 1. It says, and there came two angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot seeing them rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, behold, now, my lords, right? It says, turn in, and I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night. Wash your feet, and you shall rise up early and go on your way. They said, nay, we will abide in the street all night, right? And it's like, I'm going to cut this car if I get a little hot in here. It's like it, right? But it says, right, in verse 3, it says, he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered to his house. He made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. They called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them, right? And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after them, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly, right? And this why how about y'all refer to Sodom and Egypt? It's like it. That's why he referred to America as Sodom and Egypt, because you're gonna see these Sodom things going on here. I'm reading it to you in NLT as well. You're gonna see, man, they basically, looking at the angels as if they want to, the word. I don't want to say too much. I know the brother page got shut down, but you know how it is, man. They looking at the word like, man, nah, man, we want them. I'm gonna read it to you in the NLT verse 5, right? It says, and I started verse 4. It said, before they retired for the night, all the men of Sodom, young and old, came from all over the city and surrounded the house. They shouted to Lot, where are those men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out to us so we can have sex with them. Right? Bugged out. Right? It says, so Lot stepped outside to talk with them, shutting the door behind him. Please, my brothers, he begged, don't do such a wicked thing. Back in the KJV. Now I just stay back and forth, right? Because behold, now I have two daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men to do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. Right? As they with him, they're his guests, man. They under his protection, right? And they said, stand back. They said again, this one fellow came and to sojourn, and he will needs to be a judge. Now when he did worse with thee than with them, and they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came there to break the door. Right? So he said, in NLT says, stand back, they shouted. This fellow came to town as an outsider, and now he's acting like our judge. We'll treat you far worse than these other men. They lunged toward Lot to break the door down, right? But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot to the house and shut the door, right? And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great. So they wearied themselves to find the door, right? So the angels blinded them, right? They're trying to get in the angels blind, so now they out there groping. They don't even know how to find a door, right? I can ask, you trying to find the light, right? It says, in verse 12, it says, and the men said unto Lot, Hast thou heard any besides son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great for the Lord Yahweh, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. Right? And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seen as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. Right? They think he's joking, right? And you see how today we telling you over and over, hey, depart from this world. Hey, and this is like, the count with Noah as well. That's why in Matthew 24 it says, just as in the days of Noah, right? Nobody want to take it serious. Nobody want to take it serious until it go down, man. Nobody want to take it serious until Yahweh Shai, is destroying this place. And who says, the days to come when Yahweh Shai, in the World War III going on, Yahweh Shai and the chariots come and destroying this place. And Yahweh Shai won't cause that fire and brimstone to come to this place again. Yahweh Shai is a strong power, man. He can do whatever he want, right? And Jake don't ever want to listen to the over and over and over. We're telling you, man, depart from this world, get out the way of this world, man. Right? Jake don't want to listen, right? So here's verse 15. He says, and when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, right? And basically hurrying him up, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in iniquity of the city. It says, and while he lingered, the man laid upon his hand, upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters. The Lord Yahweh being merciful unto him, they brought him forth and set him without the city, right? And it came to pass when they had brought them forth abroad, they said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant has found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy which thou hast showed unto me, and saved my life. I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Right? I read it in NLT, right? It says, You have been so gracious to me and saved my life. You have shown such great kindness, but I cannot go to the mountains. Disaster would catch me. It's like a disaster would catch up to me there, and I would soon die. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape hither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. Right? He said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also. I will not overthrow this city for which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape hither. Right? But tell him, hurry up. For I cannot do anything till thou become thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zorah, right? Which means, let's see what Zorah means. And NLT says it means a little place. Let's see what Zorah means. Search it up. Right. Yeah, smaller, insignificant, right? So, see, going says the sun was risen, and even when you understand that, we got to think. The reason I'm reading this, I really want to get to the point where Lot's wife looked back, right? But the point is, right, it's really like a few verses down, right? So when you understand it, right, when we go into Jacob's trouble hit, things and such, right, when these discourses come, how about y'all got the spirit upon us to allow us to that spirit, how they come into Lot, hey, got your stuff up, get ready, tighten up, hurry up, get ready, man, because the discourses are coming. That's how Yahweh is with us today, man. He's telling us to get ourselves together. Hurry up, gather yourself up, man, because the trouble is coming. The trouble is near, But Jake don't ever want to listen. Jake's so caught up in the affairs of life. Jake's so caught up in all the other things. Jake don't want to listen to these things. But when we go into these times, and we gonna have little to nothing, man. Literally gonna have little to nothing, man. Right? We are in the wilderness, things and such, all the things and such. You gotta rely on that faith. How about seeing our shop and provide for us, man? Right? But let's continue reading this, and I got some precepts we're gonna go into. Right? Got a few more verses. It says, "In the Lord Yahweh rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. He overthrew those cities and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the city, and that which grew upon the ground." Right? And remember Lot's wife, right? Because here it is. It says, right? It says, but his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Okay, it's told not to look back, but she looked back, right? And she became a pillar of salt, right? So let's go from there. Let's go to Let's go to Luke 9. Luke 9:62, right? This Luke 9:62, right? It says, and Yahushua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh, right? And you got to understand, man. The reason I want to go into that with Lot's wife, I was planning on reading and jumping down, but the Spirit only read through. But understand that was the point. Looking back, Lot's wife looking back, man, because you can't, that's why Yahushua said, man, don't tangle yourself with the affairs of his life, man, because you're gonna have you're gonna start getting this truth, and you're gonna understand this truth. We meant to suffer, we meant to go through hardship. We're not meant to have a fancy lifestyle. We're not meant to live luxury. We're not meant to live those type of things. But in your mind, not even in in your mind, in your mind, and that fleshly desire, it'll try to come take you and pull you into thinking that you gotta live that lifestyle, man. Like in a sense, we was talking about that camp, how people like LeBron and things that says, man, them guys don't want to lead this world. Them guys don't want to lead this place because why? This place is benefiting them, right? It's to a point to where understanding like the fact of like when time come, you ain't gonna you think LeBron not finna take that chip, all the wealth and all the things he done built, and Lot had a lot of things, right? Let me see. I'm finna bring out a piece out of showing you Lot had a lot of things. Let me see. Bear with me. In fact, we understand that Lot was the son of Haran, which is Abraham's brother, right? Let's see. He got rich traveling with Abraham, right? He's going to the land. Like, you get this portion, I get this portion. Let's see. Genesis 13. I don't know what that noise is. Let's see. I don't know what that noise is, right? So Genesis 13, verse 5, right? It says, and Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. Is it not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere. Before the Lord Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord Yahweh, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar, right? Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from another, right? And it's going into how but the men of Sodom were wicked and descended for, you feel me? But understanding that Abraham had so many things that they couldn't even be in the same place together. It was too much. So Lot had all these things, right? But Lot understood when Yahushua told him to get up, not to look back, And that goes until we even call into this ministry, man. Not even going to the fact of just with Jacob Trouble things that said, But even going to the fact of when you come into this ministry, right? It ain't no looking back, man. When you come to the truth, no man, Luke 9:62 just read, right? When you come to the truth, you got to understand, you got to be content, you got to be, thankful for the little thing we do have, right? Because we could have nothing, which we did have nothing. We was just in captivity, man. The mercy, the one thing we have that nobody don't have is the spirit of how by seeing outside is truth, which we read 1 Corinthians 10 and 13, man. Yahweh Shem gonna make a way every time. It ain't gonna never be a way we don't be able to escape, man. You can't get too caught up in the affairs of this life, because once you build that affair of life in your head, you're gonna feel like that's what you're supposed to have. When the man drawing away, we drawing away his own lust, right? Let's see a good precept real fast. I want to read it in the NLT. Hebrews 13:5, man. This Hebrews 13 and verse 5, right? It says, actually, I'm reading in KJV, right? It says, let your conversation be without covetousness, right? If you go to that word, what that word covenant is going into, right? That word covetousness is going into having or showing a great desire to possess something belonging to someone else. What did it make you think of? Did it not make you think of Psalms, right? You know, the looking out on the prosperity of the wicked, right? Let's read that real fast. Psalm 73 and verse 3. It says, for I was envious at the foolish when they saw the prosperity of the wicked, right? When they saw the prosperity of the wicked, right? But he said, I was envious at the foolish when they saw the prosperity of the wicked. So Jake, seeing the prosperity of the wicked, they feeling like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to have. That's what I'm supposed to have. That's what I'm supposed to be getting. No, man. Right? We don't supposed to have those type of things, right? Because what scripture say? It says, and be content with such things as ye have. When you go into that word content, what it means, right? In a state of peaceful and happiness, we content with such we have, right? It says, and be content with such things as ye have, for he has said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee, because we have this truth. We have to understand we got the true riches, right? We got the true riches, man, until we get into the kingdom, right? This Proverbs 3 and verse 13 says, happy is the man that findeth wisdom and the man that getteth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof of fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all things thou can desire are not compared to her. So we got this truth. We got knowledge and understanding. How about Shah? If you try to build yourself up in the way of this world, you're going to destroy yourself, man. You're going to put yourself in a position, right? You're going to put yourself in a position to where you're going to give in, man. Let's put it like that, man. You're going to give in, right? This 1 John 2 and verse 15, right? It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love this world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of flesh, the lust of eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but it's of the world, man. Right? Excuse me, I get sweating a little bit, man. I cut the car off again, man. But it's the pride of life, man. So you can't compare us. You can't tie yourself with the affairs of this world, right? Also, what is that in first? I think it's First Timothy, second Timothy. No man, no soldier be out by seeing outside. I'm really paraphrasing. It's taking himself with the affairs of this life. You can't do that, right? Because you're gonna be caught up. Ain't no plan. What does scripture say? You can right? Matthew 6:24, right? No man can serve two masters, right? For he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. He cannot serve Yahweh and Mammon. Mammon goes to money. Because you gotta think, when that MOTB hit, when that MOTB hit, the RFID chip, man, all these things you're gonna try to build up, you're gonna try to build a business where you're gonna try to build wealth. You think come on, man. You gonna be ready to give all of it up? Because I surely am. Lord willing, how about Shah? The Spirit's on me, the Scripture's on me, to stay in the faith, right? And as long as how about Shah allow me to stay in the faith, we're gonna stay in the faith. But it's easy to say, right? It's easy to say, and the Spirit's on me to go into that because you can't entangle yourself with the affairs of this world. See, Lot had all those things. His wife looking back and she didn't want to let go of those things. You gotta be willing to let go, man. When you come to the truth, you gotta be willing to let go. You can't hold on. Right? And that's why from the beginning, Yahweh was telling you not to build yourself with the affairs of this world. Right? Because you know the flesh is weak. The flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. If you don't got the spirit, you cook. Right? It was another precept I was going to bring out, Lord willing. What was that I was going to grab? The affairs of the world. What was that I was going to grab? Lord willing to come back to me. Now that suffering is only for a little bit, man. What is that? We'll read this as well. Hebrews 11:25. Wouldn't it come back to me? Hebrews 11:25 says, truly rather to suffer affliction with the people of Yahweh than to do the pleasure of sin for a season, man. We choose rather to suffer the affliction. We choose rather to go through hardship. It's a precept that I was going to bring out. It left my mind, man. But you got to be ready to let these things go, man. You got, there it is. 100-fold. The water, y'all about to see. Right, it's Matthew 19. It started verse 27. It says, then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? It says, and Yahweh said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall also sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone that forsaketh houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life, man. Right? So that's the purpose of it. You gotta be ready to let go. You know, she looked back. You know, when the time come, when hard times hit, when the ultimate test come, is you gonna look back or you gonna stay focused on the mission, man? The whole mission is stay focused to the end, right? He didn't do it to the end, right? What is it? There's another precept I was finna go. Oh yeah, he did. He that loveth his life. That's what I taught this lesson, man. He that loveth his life shall lose it. Right, this John 12:25 says, he that loveth his life shall lose it. He that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal, man. Right? Because you got to understand, we're not living here. This ain't nothing. But Jake get caught up with the devices of Esau. You know, Esau deceived him. Those miracles, new phones, cars, shoes, clothes, lifestyle. Jake get caught up in. All that script say what? For the love of money. Right? Jake loved that. Jake see the prosperity of the wicked and feel like he's supposed to have that. Nah, man. Right? Even men who had a lot. Lot had it all, but guess what? He knew when it's time to give it up, he let it go. Right? His wife didn't. Guess what? She turned to a pillar of salt. And the time come. Right? Before we wrap it up, and the time come. Jacob's trouble, the destruction, RFID chip. If you ain't ready, if you ain't prepared to let everything go and to walk in the path of how Shah said, guess what? You're gonna be destroyed just like Lot's wife, man. It's simple, man. Right? What was I finna grab? What's about he that love his life shall lose it. Let me read that again. John, he that loves his life shall lose it. You know, he that hates his life in this world. Oh, Shlaki. That's what it is. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 2, right? It says, set your affection on the things above, not on things on earth. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with the Mashiach Yahweh Shah. When Yahweh Shah, Mashiach, who is our life, shall appear, then ye shall also appear with him in glory. So don't be trying to build you no fame, you don't try to bring no way you trying to be glorified in this earth and Yahweh Shah ain't glorified yet. Man, stay down, right? Stay down, because what the scriptures say, we lie and wait for righteous, man. So let's go to that real fast. We close it out. We Solomon 2 and 11. It said, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be worth nothing. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not contrary for our term. He don't got nothing good for you, man, or this world. He is clean contrary to our doings, a total opposite of everything. He upbraids us with the offender of law. They break the law in all type of ways and object unto our infamy, the transgression of our education, man. You know, but the point is, when that precept is therefore let us lie and wait for righteous, man. Lie and wait for righteous. Stay down, stay patient, right? Patience, right? That's what it is. Patient work of faith, man. Remember the patience of Job. Job had everything took from him. Lot had all took from him. And remember the patience. When Yahweh Shah told them what they had to do, they did what they had to do, man. So you gotta have that same mindset, right? Matter of fact, we close with this, right? Even with Yahweh Shah, you know, Yahweh Shah, he gave up his own life, man, right? This Philippians 3 and 17, right? It says, brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as ye have us for an example, man. Right? You know, that's Paul talking about, right? And led to the Philippians, man. So we mark our path of the Yahweh Shai and those righteous men who did those righteous things that the Heavenly Father told them to do, man. Right? We mark them for example. Not these phonies, not these idols of this world, not these rappers, these football. No, we mark the men of Yahweh Shai who did those righteous things, right? It's Philippians 3:17 in NLT. It says, dear brothers and sisters, pattern your lives after mine and learn from those who follow our example, man. That's what you're doing. For I have told you often before, I say it again with tears in my eyes, that there are many whose conduct shows they are really enemies of the cross of Yahweh Shah Mashiach. They are headed for destruction. Their power is their appetite. They brag about shameful things. They think only about this life here on earth. But we are citizens. Citizens, you know, that's what for our conversation it goes to citizenship, right? But we are citizens of heaven, where the Lord Yahweh Shah Hamashiach lives, and we are eagerly waiting for him to return as our Savior, man. Right? So all these other things, man, we ain't worried about it, man. We ain't worried about it, right? I will close out verse 21. It says, he will take our weak mortal bodies and change them into glorious bodies like his own, using the same power with which he will bring everything under his control, man. So that's what we waiting on, man. We lying waiting for righteousness. We lying waiting on how about how shot, man. You know, don't entangle yourself with the fears of this life. And when it's time to go, it's time to go. When you how about outside, when it's time to, hey, we know. You know, Lord willing, that number, the elect know, man. When that RFID chip pop off, we know what time it is. You can have the car, you can have the house, you can have it all. We don't need none of it, man. You know, you gotta have that mindset, man. Ready to give everything up for you how about shot, man. You know, we'll tie this lesson, man. He that loves his life shall lose it. He that hates his life, you know, what is that? Let's read it out again before we close. John 12:25, man. Right? This is John chapter 12. Matter of fact, we will bring that in NLT. This is John chapter 12. And it's like that's my little brother right there. You can open those. John 12:25. It says, those who love their life in this world will lose it. Those who care nothing for their life in this world will keep it for eternity, man. You know, so with that being said, you know, Lord willing, right? I hope this lesson was edifying and exalting, right? And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, and Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the hopefully elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom.